Welcome back to this channel where we provide premium legal content. Today in this video, we want to look at least 4 major things. Number one thing we want to look at is, are there laws in Nigeria that prohibit witchcraft, wizardry, sorcery, juju, and all the rest? If there are laws in Nigeria that prohibit that, we also want to look at in what circumstance can a person be found guilty of the commission of this particular practice. And the third is that if a person has now been found guilty of the commission of this practice, what are the possible or likely jail term for such a practice in Nigeria? And the fourth thing we want to look at is, can a person hide under the defense of being under the influence of witchcraft, of wizardry, or under the spell of juju to commit a particular offense? Will the person go scot-free or not? Whether the law will permit the person to go scot-free or not is what we understand in this video, if you stick around till the end. Now let's proceed to answering the first question. But before we answer the first question, it's important that I remind you that this channel requires your support to grow. You can support the growth of this channel by subscribing to this channel, and not only subscribing but clicking on the notification button when you do so that you can be among the first people who receive the first content that drops on this channel. Now let's go straight to answering the first question. With that said, yes, there are laws in Nigeria that prohibit witchcraft, wizardry, sorcery, use of juju, and all the rest. And that you'll find in section 210 of the Criminal Code, as well as section 216 of the Penal Code. And then, if you move on further, it provides that a person clearly who comes out boldly to state that he or she is a witch, a wizard, practices sorcery, has cast a spell or done juju on somebody else, that clearly can be a ground for the prosecution to prosecute that person for the offense of witchcraft in Nigeria. With the first and second question answered, let's look at the third question, which is, what are the possible jail term for the offense of witchcraft and wizardry in Nigeria? Well, by the provision of section 210 of the Criminal Code and section 216 of the Penal Code, the offense and jail term for the commission of the offense of witchcraft in Nigeria is 2 years. So 2-year jail term is the likely punishment for the offense of witchcraft and wizardry in Nigeria. Let's look at the third issue, the fourth ground issue. Number one is that if a person claims that he or she was under the influence of a witch or a wizard to commit a particular offense, the court would have to consider a lot of factors. And we might not exhaust all of these factors, but basically, the court will not take hook, line, and sinker that defense. The prosecution, or the defense rather, will have to show that the witchcraft or the spell acted in his or her mind, so much so that even if it were to be a reasonable man that was under that influence, the person would still have committed that particular offense. So a clear example would be, take for instance, the person who cast that spell comes out with a charm or with an omelette or with something, an object, talisman, and start chasing this person and saying, I'm going to do this to you, I'm going to kill you, I'm going to do this to you. In such circumstance, that can be a ground for maybe a retaliation or an on-the-spot retaliation under the law is allowed. So could be for self-defense. You are defending yourself, you are protecting yourself. It is allowed under our law, self-defense, but it must be commensurate with the amount of force used by the assailant. However, if somebody is in the cozy comfort of his room and just imaginarily believes that somebody else is the cause of his or her downfall, and then goes out to commit a particular crime or goes out to murdering the other person, that clearly the law will not avail. It's difficult for the law to avail such a person because there is no nexus. But the first example, which is somebody clearly chasing another person and holding a talisman, in such circumstance, even a reasonable man will be apprehensive and will want to defend themselves. So our laws likely will permit such a circumstance for retaliation. But in the other circumstance, which is you just sitting at the comfort of your home, you think that this person is the cause of this circumstance or this issue that is happening to you, you wake up, you left your house or your room to the other person's room, and you start committing a particular offense, so much so that it leads or led to the death of this other person, then clearly it would be difficult for the law to avail such a person. So the law would usually come to determine such issues with a reasonable man's test. And there are several authorities to this, which you'll find in the description to this video, the description box to this video. If you've watched this video to this extent, it must be that this video has in one way or the other impacted you. And that's why we crave your indulgence once again to subscribe to this channel and click on the notification button when you do so, so that you can be the first to receive any premium legal content that drops on this channel. See you next time.